What's up, guys? It's Ditch. Thank you for listening. This is episode 2 of Change is a Choice, my new podcast. First and foremost, I just want to say how grateful I am to anyone and everyone out there who listened to the first episode. It took me a really, really long time for me to make that episode. And I don't mean actually shooting it or filming it and editing it, all that stuff. I mean, it took me a really long time for me to conjure up enough courage for me to push past the fear that I have of my own insecurities, my own fears, my own paranoia, all these things, to shoot that video and be vulnerable and share those parts of myself with you guys, because I truly believe with my heart and soul that in order for people to feel connected through art, they really do need to know who made the art. And the more connected they feel like they are to the person who created the art, then it enhances the experience of their digestion of that art. So I really wanted to get to know you guys better, and I really want you guys to get to know me better through this podcast. So that's what we're doing. So today I want to go over two things. This is going to be a much shorter podcast. The first episode was 45 minutes, and it was, as far as a solo podcast goes, very long. Now I'm going to have guests. We're not going to be having guests anytime soon, but I will let you guys know when I'm going to be having guests, and I'll send out invitations to anyone and everyone who wants to be involved, and whomever I want to invite on. So, but first, right now, I'm still trying to get the hang of it. This isn't like making music to me. You know what I mean? I haven't done this forever. So this is a very jerry-rigged setup I have here. We're going to, upgrade my equipment, my setup, all that kind of stuff. And once I feel like I'm at more of a professional level, we'll start having some more guests on the podcast. Until then, I really just want to share my story and my journey with you guys and show you guys what's possible by pushing past your fears and speaking out to, speaking your truth and living your truth. So, excuse me. So, there's two things I wanted to go into today. One is the layout for my content, okay? Another reason I didn't drop a podcast last week in between, dropping my first one 2 weeks ago, was that I had a huge beat camp. I had a bunch of producers come in on my team from all around the country. We cooked up a bunch of beats and did a lot of production for my debut album. And it was honestly a dream come true. A lot of these people I had never even met really online, because a lot of them I hadn't really met because we just been connected online. And shout out to Twitter, shout out to Instagram, shout out to all the social medias, internet, for allowing us to all collaborate. I mean, I can speak for a lot of us creatives that our lives have been changed because of it. So, but it was really a different experience to be with these people in person, and it was like we already knew each other, and it was immediately like we were cooking up like we'd always been cooking up. So it was a blessing, and I cannot wait for you guys to hear the album, but that will have to wait until this fall. Until then, I'm going to be dropping a podcast every single week, every Monday, and new music every Friday. Excuse me. It's allergy season. I have terrible allergies. So I'm going to keep you guys very, very fed with a lot of content. And I want to show you guys what's possible when you push past your fears and you fully live your truth. Now, secondly, most importantly, honestly, I wanted to expand on a few topics that I touched on in my first podcast. Oh, first, before I forget, I have so many things I want to talk about. Let me shout out my production team that did come out to LA. Everyone, I'm super thankful to everyone who came out. I mean, it was truly, for them to take time out of their life to fly all the way to Los Angeles, to spend time with me and invest in my debut album, that really meant a lot to me. So shout out to Josh Crespo, shout out to Chris Kennedy, shout out to Spenny Silver, shout out to Quinn Beats, shout out to Miles Above, shout out to Mannequin, and his team. Shout out to Reese. If I'm forgetting anybody else, please forgive me. It's been a long few weeks. We've cooked up with a lot of people and made a lot of connections. So, but it was truly a blessing. So, excuse me. So, the second thing I wanted to go into was that, like I talked about in the first podcast, it's been the most difficult thing for me to have been accused of a crime that I didn't commit, that even in more specific is sexual of nature, by someone whom I'm very close to, whom I was very close to. Excuse me. And I had to fight for my character. I had to fight for my reputation. I had to fight for my future. I had to fight for who I am as a person to exist. And I like to use Johnny Depp and the Amber Heard situation as a prime example to illustrate this. It's not that, I want to also take a moment to address and to acknowledge that there are victims out there of sexual abuse, and there are victims out there of any kind of abuse. And I don't want to be, I'm not talking about those situations, because those are their own situations, and that's not what I'm addressing right now. And I if you have been through that, I really hope that I pray that you're able to get through it and get the help that you need in order to get through it. But what I'm addressing is the Johnny Depps, the silent majority of us currently that have had false accusations made against us that the entire culture has ran with because it's politically correct. And Johnny Depp almost had his career taken from him, his life. In fact, his life, let alone his career. And he had to fight. He had to fight very hard. And thank God he did. Thank God he did. Because, he didn't deserve to go through everything that Amber Heard dragged him through. And see, what I'm trying to speak out about is there's a lot of us Johnny Depps who aren't Johnny Depp, who don't have the mainstream media covering us, who don't know what it's, nobody knows what it's like to be falsely accused of a sexual crime by someone who you're very close to, who you thought you could trust, and then having the entire world run with that narrative because it's what's politically correct, instead of investigating and actually doing their due diligence. And in America, we the people are innocent until proven guilty. That is the law of the land. And that's not being extended to every single person in America. So in relation to this, and I'm sorry if I'm a little bit all over the place with the way I'm describing this, because it's a lot emotionally but also psychologically for me to really talk about this, but I was so scared forever to speak about this publicly and to come out about these things and to be my true self, because I felt like the world was going to do the same thing to me. I thought the world was going to Johnny Depp me. And I know that fear is just like the fear of the dark. The only way for me to conquer this was for me to go spend some time in the dark, and in fact learn to love the dark. So by me opening up about this and me being vulnerable, I hope to be a voice for anybody out there who feels like they're not heard in any way, but in specific in the Johnny Depp way, where you're falsely accused of, doesn't have to be a sexual crime, it doesn't even have to be a legal thing. You're falsely accused of something by someone who's really close to you. And if you're proven innocent and you're proven, you've gone through the legal proceedings and all that, and you've cleared your name, and then you come out on the other side of that, you have to learn to live. And I know that sounds kind of crazy, and everybody's going to come after me and be like, oh, but what about the victims? Okay, but in these situations I'm talking about, the victims are the Johnny Depps. Now, in the other situations, I agree. The victims are not the Johnny Depps. In a lot of situations, in fact, the victims are the Amber Heards. So again, I want to clarify, because these are very controversial opinions, but again, that's part of being who I am is learning to take a stance in my own opinions and be firm with who I am and stand my ground with who I am and what I believe in. And especially as an artist, being a singer, a writer, a producer, an engineer, all these things, I'm here to communicate a message. I'm here to speak. That's what I'm meant to do. That's what I believe is my truth and my purpose on this universe, on this planet, in this universe. And as far as, talking about the Johnny Depps and the Amber Heards of the world, I'm really speaking to a lot of the younger kids right now, because there's a lot of boys growing up right now who are scared to approach women, just to even flirt. Like there's probably a middle schooler out there right now who is scared to approach a girl because he doesn't want to go through being Amber Heard. He's seen it all on the internet, and I understand that there is a fear for the women as well, but there's also a fear for the men too. Not every guy is a criminal. Not every guy is out to get everybody. It's like there's a lot of good men out there. There's a lot of great masculine men. And that's okay, because there's a lot of great feminine women as well. And that's, a beautiful thing that we get to live in that society where there is freedom to be who you are. But people need to understand that it doesn't mean that there aren't good men out there. And I'm trying to show people that I'm a great man, and I'm going to live that. And I'm going to speak my truth, and I'm going to make my music, and I'm going to live my purpose on this planet Earth, because that's what I'm meant to do. And I'm done letting my fears control me of what the world's going to think of me, or, what anybody's going to say about me, to be honest, because I know my truth. I've fought for my truth. I've cleared my name. I've cleared my reputation. I've cleared my character. I know who my circle is. I know who my family is. I know who to let in. I know who to not let in. I know what I'm doing. So everything's calculated with me. Always know that. I'm very methodical. I know what I'm doing. There's no mistakes. So I want people to understand is that it's not really about feeling sympathy for Johnny Depp or for me. What it's about is for people to feel like they're heard. Okay? Because if I can help anyone feel heard, even one person, I win. That's the truth. I'm succeeding and I'm fulfilling my purpose. And hopefully I can inspire many people, and hopefully I can show people, as many people as possible, the light. But, I'm here to show people that you can be who you want to be and who you're always meant to be. No matter what this culture says, no matter what your parents say, no matter what your siblings say, no matter what your friends say, no matter what anybody says, your teachers, the schools, nothing. You know you better than anybody else. Don't ever forget that. Don't ever forget that, because this world will try to turn you into someone you're not. And that's the truth. And that's my story. My story is a story of fighting to be who I am. Fighting against forces my whole life that tried to tell me I'm someone I'm not. And now I've made it out on the other side because I know who I am. And after making it through that, there's nothing that can stop me except for myself. Like the homie Russ said, shout out to Russ, it's all in my head. I got to get out of my own way. And by doing this, by showing up for myself with these podcasts and with the music and with you guys, interacting, being a part of the community, engaging, I win. It's a win in and of itself. I'm succeeding because I am who I am, and I'm doing what I'm meant to do. So, with that, I'd like to wrap up this podcast. Thank you to anyone who's been listening. This has been a beautiful experience for me to start to open up to you guys. Like I said, I apologize for any I was all over the place. Just, it's hard to talk about that situation for me, as many can imagine. It was, I lost a lot of friends. I had to leave school. I had no youth. I didn't live at home. I lost a lot of things growing up because of this situation. And so I'm just getting my life back now, a decade later. But so I really appreciate you guys for listening. And like I said, if I was a little confusing with explaining things, forgive me. But it really does mean a lot to me that you guys, anyone out there, is listening and supporting and hearing, and I hope that I can be a voice to anybody out there that's listening and wanting to support and need someone to hear them as well. So like I said, new podcast every Monday, new music every Friday. Okay. Reach out to me in the DMs if you relate to anything, you want to talk about anything, if you want to open up, if you just need someone as a friend. I'm here to talk. I'm here to be, at least a homie, and someone who will support you. And if not, please do support the podcast. Please like and subscribe and share with your guys' friends. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate you guys. New music soon. Peace.